Jai Hind students, today we will study sequencing of tenses. In the previous video, I have already taught you what is sequencing of tenses, what is a clause, what are the different types of clauses. So in the previous video, I have also told you the main rule, the basic rule for sequencing of tenses, which says that if the principal clause is in one tense, the subordinate clause will follow that tense only. For example, if it is in present tense, subordinate clause will follow present tense. So let's see 5 rules which are the exceptions to the basic rule. So rule number 1 is if the principal clause is in past tense, then the subordinate clause will also be in past tense. So this follows the main rule, but there are 2 exceptions to this rule. So the exceptions are exception number A. Even if the principal clause is in past or present or future, if it is citing a universal truth, if the sentence is citing a universal truth, then the subordinate clause will be in present. Okay, so if it is citing a universal truth, then the subordinate clause will be in present tense. Okay, for example, the children were taught that honesty is the best policy. So honesty is the best policy is a universal truth. The children were taught. This is in past, and honesty is the best policy is in present. So this is an exception for rule number 1. Now let's see the second exception. Let's see the second exception. So the second exception is when we use than in a sentence, then what will happen? We can use any tense with the subordinate clause irrespective of the principal clause. So principal clause will be in any tense and subordinate clause can also be any tense. It does not need to follow this. So subordinate clause will not follow the principal clause when we are using the word than. Okay, so for example, if it is in present, it can be in past or future, or else if it is in past, it can be in past, present or future, this way. Okay, so this will not follow the principal clause. It can be any tense. Now let's see rule number 2. Let's see rule number 2. If the principal clause is in present or future tense, okay, So the subordinate clause will subordinate clause will be can be in any tense. The first rule we did for past tense, this is for present or future. So the subordinate clause will be in any tense if it can be in any tense based on what needs to be conveyed. Okay, what needs to be conveyed? For example, she is saying that she has done her work. Okay, this is the example for rule number 2. In the next video, we will do another 3 rules, another 3 exceptions. This rule does not have any exception. This is the exception for the basic rule. Okay, the next 3 rules I will give you in the next video. Till then, children, study well. Jai Hind.